All right. Hey guys, how's it going? This is Jeff here. Sorry, I've got the background. My studio is all, uh, a mess right now. And just to update everybody, I know we weren't able to do this 2 weeks ago for our live. We had missed it, and it's because I had a stroke. Matter of fact, come to find out today, I actually had two strokes. And so I went and I were a few minutes late, about 10 minutes late, because I was at the doctor today for my first doctor's appointment and post stroke. So, I spent a little over a week in the hospital in ICU and everything. And, we're just getting back at it, trying to, get everything back together and, get everything set back up so that we could do that. Thank you. And so yeah, so we wanted to get back on here and make sure that we recap the last couple episodes. We had our Peter Vronsky episode that came out for the podcast thon, and then just recently, Troy Taylor was on with the American Oddities Museum. So we're going to talk about that a little bit and just kind of update you guys on what's going on here. And so, yeah, just and we'll try to keep it kind of short today because this is kind of diving back in for the first time since then. It actually the stroke happened a couple hours before our last live episode that we were supposed to do. I was actually setting up for it to get ready for the live episode when it happened. And, literally in 1 second, the world kind of turned upside down. And then I was on the ground and then I was at the hospital. So, thankfully, everybody here at the house really did a great job of taking care of me and, getting me where I needed to go so that I could get the help that I needed. So, yeah. But, still very, very challenging and lots of challenges upcoming that are moving forward. And so, we're navigating all of that stuff and, not easy, but
including working through cheating. Woo!
okay. And so, all right, I'll bring you guys up here. Hey guys.
Hi, Jeff. Hi, Mary.
Hi,
Hello.
Jerry. Nice to see you, Jeff.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
nice
great.
to see you too.
So happy to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because Mary and I were here last time and we could not for the
Yeah,
last.
we got the message when you said call now. And I thought, why would Jeff say call me now? So we called you
Yeah.
and you didn't answer, and we were wondering what's going on. There was something definitely going on.
Yeah, for sure.
And you forgot.
Yeah.
But we're here now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God bless.
Yeah, we're all back together again, I guess.
Yes.
So 2 weeks ago, we were supposed to do the recap on the Peter Vronsky episode, and yeah, I got to tell you guys, for me, dude, that was an incredible episode, just personally, to be able to talk to somebody in the true crime field that is accomplished as Peter and has done so many things. I mean, he literally wrote the history of serial killers, right? This is the guy that literally wrote the book on it. And so it was quite an honor to be able to talk to Peter and, have conversation with him and to see all the things that he has going and his upcoming projects. And, the fact that he has been working with Richard Cottingham for so long and has uncovered so many things, and that they are, looking at closing tens of, lots and lots of cold cases because of the work that he's done with Cottingham, and finding out all of these different places and cross referencing, And I thought it was a perfect episode. That was, that episode was a fundraiser for the Cold Case Foundation. And so being able to, talk to Peter about all of the things that he does that is directly related to cold cases, and all the research and all the work and the hours and hours of poring over documents and little things that might place somebody at the right place, or give them more information that can uncover some of these
Yeah.
crimes, is so vitally important. And I think a lot of times we don't understand how important those things are, and how critical they are in these cases that are not solved yet. And so it can be the smallest detail that someone has just overlooked, or maybe this phone call wasn't made, and this person wasn't interviewed, and maybe, this person wasn't talked to. But when they can finally ascertain that stuff, they can really make huge strides in some of these cases. And then, of course, specifically with cold cases, because new technology is always coming out, and DNA is always being refined. A lot of times it just takes money, and being able to pay for the testing to be done on certain things as new evidence comes to light, that really breaks open these cases, and helps them to be solved, or points them in a direction where that case opens up and they can find the information that they need to really open the door to making it, what it needs to be. And so I was really grateful that Peter was willing to come on and, have that conversation and discuss all that stuff. And eventually, before we're over, we'll get into some of the other stuff that Pete had to say, that I know Mary has been chomping at the bit to discuss. And we're gonna have Peter back on at some point, and we'll talk about that in great detail, and talk even more about that, because I know Peter has sent me some stuff now that he is currently kind of poring over the documents that have been released on the JFK assassination. And he'll be able to give some of his thoughts on all of those things, and what's in those documents, and if it means anything, if it changes his opinion or not, if there's something there that he was not aware of before, and if there's any shocking information. But yeah, it's fascinating. So what do you got? What do you think about old Vronsky?
Mary about it for a couple of weeks. We thought he was really interesting. He had a lot to say. Very now.
I mean, I like the work that he done with the Ken and Barbie stuff. I liked what he done with Carla and Paul. I love. I think he does great work, but with JFK, totally wrong.
Really?
Totally wrong. Totally wrong.
Why?
Totally wrong. Because it wasn't just Oswald. Oswald was talking to a certain mafia member who lived in the, oh God, I've not got my notes with me, the Chicago area. And two of Bobby's friends was in that motorcade.
It would have been Sam Giancana is who he would have been talking to up in Chicago.
Yeah.
And Giancana was involved in the assassination attempt on Fidel Castro.
Yeah.
And so Giancana was the one setting it up between the New York mob and the guy and Santo Trafficante down in Miami to go down to Cuba to kill Castro. And so now the question is, Oswald knew that he had come under that information, and he knew that that was happening. It's one of the reasons why Peter believes that Oswald was angry at JFK, and that was the final straw.
Yeah,
So
I believe he was obsessed with JFK. But I think he was obsessed with him because in the motorcade, in JFK's motorcade, two of Bobby's friends were in that motorcade, and they said shots were coming forward way, like it was a crossfire. It wasn't just one direction. They were coming from that way, like that. It was a crossfire. And I believe the CIA were involved because they wanted JFK out the road. I believe the mafia was involved. It wasn't just Oswald. Like, look how they take the guy that conveniently gets into a Chicago police station and kills Oswald. No. Jack Ruby, gets in there under at the back of the police station and kills Oswald. Come on, that was set up. That was set up.
Who's that?
yeah, I think it's one of those things that it is certainly incredibly hard to come to any real conclusions, 50 or so odd years out, even with whatever they're putting out there now, this information that they're supposedly have. I don't know that that's any of it is even helpful as far as we've got the ooh, sorry. I didn't have a chance to grab my light from the. I do have the ring light on the other side of the room, but I didn't get a chance to plug it in. I have a little harder time getting around these days.
Excuse accepted.
I know. It is literally right on the other side of the room. I did bring it in here, but I just didn't put it close enough where I could get it. All right. Well, we know Mary's opinion of that.
But
And
you don't have to make any excuses, Jeff.
That's right.
yeah. So
we're just lucky that you're still here.
Yeah.
That's for sure, because there was a very, very real possibility that that was not the case, and so I am.
And everyone noticed. Can you see the light this time? The light. The light.
So
yeah, I never want to see a hospital again too soon. Anyway.
I know. I agree, man.
Oh God, no.
No fun at all.
Oh God, I feel I was climbing the walls, man.
How long were you there?
4 days.
How come we didn't know this?
It just happened really sudden. I got the sharp pains, and it was going round to my back, and I thought, oh no, here we go, because I've had this quite a few times. I'm on the waiting list to get part of the bowel that they said is basically dead removed, but this is going to keep happening until they actually do it. So I got really, me, I never want to stay silent. I said to the doctor, well, why can't you just take it out while I'm in here?
Right.
Oh, no. Too much hard work, man. So.
That's socialized medicine, and that's the problem. But we won't get on that. But everybody's back together.
All right. So we had Peter Vronsky, and then last week's episode was with Troy Taylor, who owns the American Sideshow Museum up in Alton, Illinois. And I had the pleasure of going there and checking out the museum and hanging out there. Sadly, I did not get a chance to sit down and meet Troy while I was there. He was out of town He was actually in Wichita while I was there, but I did talk to him after that, and then we did the podcast, of course. And Troy is
And
a
he's,
great guy.
he says he's updated his museum since you had been there. I found him fascinating.
Oh yeah, he's got some great stuff there.
I just found him an interesting guy because I remember all this for years ago, and it is true what he says. You don't see anything now, which is sad in a way. But
Well,
I really thought he was interesting.
Yeah, a lot of that is because there's so much stuff with discrimination and everything that is going on here in the States that a lot of people are afraid to do those kind of acts and stuff because people get upset and they feel like they're exploitive and things like that. And the truth is, back in the day, many of those people would not have been able to live life without that.
Exactly.
They would have not been able to have a job. They would have had to live off of their family and things like that. And a lot of those shows and everything gave them the opportunity to live normal lives, to meet partners and build a family and things like that. So a lot of those sideshows and stuff were necessary to give them the income that they needed to show off their talents and their skills so that they could live lives and have some kind of normalcy, even though they had severe deformities and mental issues and things like that. They already had a hard enough life, and sadly, many of those families would have locked them away in an asylum somewhere, and kept them away from people, and treated them really poorly. And this gave them an avenue to go out there and showcase themselves and make money from the things that seem like an infirmity, became often their greatest strength, to get out there and to be able to showcase that and to be able to put their talents out there on display, to really support their families, in many times much better than they could have at any regular job. So they had an incredible opportunity there, and
Mm-hmm.
some of them lived great lives. They
Yeah.
really lived well off,
Tom,
and there were other ones that did get exploited, and there were people
Yeah.
out there that were treating them badly and used them, but they had opportunities that they would not have
Yeah.
had. And so I think if we look at it from that perspective, even though it is a challenging, maybe a little bit grim part of reality,
Yeah.
it can be a very positive thing. If you watch, of course, there's a very romanticized version of it, but if you watch the movie about P.T. Barnum, that musical, what is
You're
it
right.
called?
You're thinking about The Greatest Showman, Jeff.
Yeah, The
Oh,
Greatest Showman.
Yeah.
When you watch that, it really shows, that the people that were involved in that really did get to showcase those things
Mm.
and live out lives that they would not have been able to do normally. So, as challenging as that is,
Mm.
it's also a very good thing, and it is a part of history that I absolutely love.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that I kind of grew up just past that. I grew up in 1980, and or at least I was born in 1980, and the majority of sideshows here in America stopped in the early 90s,
Yeah.
is when everything really went away. And so I kind of missed all of that, but I got to hear from other people and kind of always wished that I had been able to see some of that and be part of that. And so I have a great fondness for the Carney culture, and the whole
So see, so
showmanship around
so
it.
see, so see at the carnivals, Jeff. Did they people appear as well alongside, or did they have their own show?
So no, a lot of the sideshows went along with the carnivals.
Right.
It was here in the States, it was the carnival sideshow, and so
Right.
they would have their own kind of tents that would be along with the sideshow and the midway, and it would be just off of that. But that was really, really popular through the 40s, through the 60s, very popular in the United States, and then within the 70s with the hippie movement and everything, it started to take a downturn, and then by the early 90s, it disappeared altogether. So
when did like the 20s it started, or earlier than that? Well, even PT Quantum was what, late 1800s?
Yeah, late 1800s into the 20s. So, and it really started, and Troy talks about this, that at the 1893 World's Fair was the first time that it was like really part of the Midway. And so that's when they joined up, and it really became the circus sideshow. And like I said, that really ran through the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and then started to die out by 1990. And so there's a long history, and you have several different places in the United States where those Carney members really settled. One of them is down in Florida. There was another one in Illinois. And so some of those people settled there, and really brought everything to those communities. And with that, for a while, I think he's moved to Tennessee now, but for the last several years, Grady Stiles III, who is Lobster Boy, right? Grady Stiles Jr. Grady Stiles III lived just south of me in Covington, Kentucky. And so he still has the same deformity that his dad did. And yeah, I've met Grady several times. And so I think, like I said, I think last time I heard he's moved down to Tennessee now. And but yeah, he is around, he's out there. And so yeah.
I would imagine there would still be a lot of like generations still going. Although you never hear from them or never see them.
Well, it depends. Like, for example, Hell's a Poppin' is one of the only traveling 10-in-1 sideshows in America right now. They're from Florida, and so I know most of the guys from Hell's a Poppin', and so they are really, really cool. They have Shorty Dangerously, who is the half man, kind of like Johnny Eck before him. Shorty is really, really cool. I've gotten to see him do some really neat stuff. Eric, I want to say Harris, but it might be Ellis. But anyway, it's Eric Powell, I think. But anyway, he does like the regurgitation and stuff like that. Awesome guy. I've met him. He is really, really into true crime. And so he collects a lot of true crime stuff. So me and him have had a lot of conversations about his collection and mine. And so really very interesting guy.
He would probably be a good guest, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should probably talk to Eric. I mean, we've talked several times. We should get on there. They have one of the guys from America's Got Talent. Actually, two guys from America's Got Talent. One of them that does the crossbow stuff. So he shoots the crossbow and everything. And then one of the magicians too. I think one of them is something black, and I can't remember the magician's name right now. I'd have to look at the cards and everything. But yeah, check them out. Hell's a Poppin' is a great show if you guys get a chance to see it. Very, very much like the old 10-in-1 sideshows that they try to represent all of that. And Bryce, the Governor Graves, is the talker, and he does sword swallowing, him and his wife Willow. They also do fire eating and stuff. So they do a full 10-in-1 sideshow. It's a great show. I had the pleasure several years ago. They were at my buddy brought them on for Fear Expo, and they did an after show. We all got to go and watch it, and then I got to meet everybody, and we all hung out, and I got to know them pretty well. Matter of fact, that's how I got them to be part of the card game. And of course, that is still in the works. We're working on that, hoping for June, July Kickstarter for that. Currently right now, everything is kind of up in the air because of all the tariffs and things that are going on. I've got to figure out, I don't know what that looks like as far as being able to, what the costs are going to be, because now we're looking at like 104% or something crazy right now. And until that really calms down, I don't know that we can go to Kickstarter and make it make sense. So, so everybody that's out there that's waiting for that, just know that I'm trying to wait for the best possible time to make sure that, like, when we go to print, that we can actually use the money to make sure that we get the product and we have it all and it's ready to go. I don't want to go like and raise, $10,000, but then the cost is going to be $40,000, right? So it's dead in the water before it even begins. So we have to be smart and be strategic about how we're going to do that and how long we're going to wait, so that it's as cost effective as possible for everybody, and we can actually get the product and make sure that we can pay for it, and before anything else crazy happens. So that's kind of the plan. And when that becomes a reality, we'll release it and we'll let everybody know what's happening. But right now, the board game industry as a whole is completely unstable. None of us know what's going to happen with everything going on, or where we can even get anything. There are going to be a lot of places that are going to really struggle this next year because of all of this that's going on. But the one thing that I know for sure is that it will even out, and we'll figure it out. And people that are much, much smarter than me will be able to determine what's going to be best and what the best course of action is. So, even if it has to wait a year from now until it all levels out, then that's what we'll do. We're not going to pull the trigger too early, because then it won't be successful from the gate. So I'm going to wait until the best time is to introduce something like that, and then we'll go there. Everything is already set up. All of the cards are already done. So all of that hard work is already finished and ready to go. It's been play tested. We know that it's good. It's just got to get to a place where it's cost effective and it makes sense to even put out there, and we can get it produced. So that's kind of in the back pocket waiting. There's been a lot of people out there that have asked specifically for me about a GoFundMe and stuff, and you and Sherry came to me early and asked me about that too. So we have been working on some things to put out there for that. So we are going to do that. It might take a couple more days or whatever to get it all up there and ready to go. But for those of you watching, we'll have that out. You guys can find links to that. We'll be posting them all over the place. So that for those of you that want to participate in that, because, I spent, a week and a day, in ICU. And for any of you that know that, the cost associated with that, I pretty much wiped out my, my deductible. I think that was like $6,000 or $7,000. And that hospital visit alone is probably several $100,000 that my insurance is going to eat a portion of, but then I'm going to have residuals to pay for. I did 4 CT scans, an MRI, they did a throat scope to check out my heart. I think it's called a thoracic echocardiogram. They had to do one of those. I still have to go back here in a couple months to do another CT scan so that they can look at my brain and see if there's been any more problems or what they need to do. I found out today that I actually had more than one stroke. So I had at least 2. my doctor told me today. So actually, both sides of my my cerebellum were affected, and
Wow.
so I was not aware of that. They didn't tell me that in the hospital. So yeah, so there was more damage done than I thought. So thankfully, here
Yeah.
I am. Uh, there is a reason why I'm still here.
Yes.
There are things that need to be done, and one of the things that we're talking about, actually, I was going to release this 2 weeks ago on the live, but I have been seriously considering opening up a museum on, you know, sideshow oddities and true crime, planning it here in Cincinnati. And so that was already kind of in the works before the strokes happened. And then of course when the strokes happened, you know, the whole world turned upside down. So it made it really difficult because like for those of you that know, I drove like for a living. That's what I did. I drive a delivery truck, and you know we're governed by DOT, and there is a large probability that I will not be able to go back to that job. That doesn't mean that they won't have a different position for me to do. And my doctor is very confident that I will make a recovery and be able to get back to work. But it's going to take time. He already went through the paperwork and approved me for 3 months of short-term disability. So that'll get faxed to short-term, and I'm sure in the next couple of days I'll get a phone call from them to let me know that that's all been taken care of, or they need more information, or whatever they need.
Yeah.
So, you know, but you know, of course, that is a small percentage of what I was making,
Yeah.
and you know, for the next several months, I'm not going to be able to like really work. I'm going to have to depend on, you know, getting this fully monetized here. So there's like
Yeah.
passive income coming in from.
We just need everybody buy a membership. Do
Yeah,
a
so
super chat. Do a super chat. Buy a sticker. Anything.
yeah,
Would
so
help. Anything. Really.
yeah, as that all gets moving, you know, because that takes a little bit of time. I'm glad that we were 80% there already
Yeah.
before this all happened. It
Yeah.
makes it much easier. I'd been working pretty hard to get that done, and you know, so you know,
Well,
I've
at least I can see I've done the first super chat.
yeah, you did. So
And one thing that'll never change is Sherry and an eating. I bet you've missed that.
What?
Sherry and an eating skills.
My eating skills?
Yes.
Where are you doing super?
But
so on the live,
Are you
I
serious?
reached out because when you were talking to me, Jeff, I think, right, I was racking my brains. I reached out to a mutual friend of ours, and she is willing to help in any way. And you know who I'm talking about?
I know who you're
EJ.
talking. Yeah.
oh yeah,
EJ. I reached out to EJ, and she is willing to help in any way.
There are a lot of people that want to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and I'm very grateful for that. That there are so many people out there, because it's a very difficult thing, you know, when you're faced with such life altering events, and you know this is certainly qualifies. You know, thankfully with all of this, I was affected in a place that does not affect my speech. It doesn't affect my cognition. So I'm still as with it as I've ever been. I just don't move nearly as fast as I used to. You know, I have the walker. We're getting a wheelchair so that we can do longer trips outside,
Okay.
and I can move a little bit
Yeah.
better. So, you know, all of those things, you know, the doctor is confident that once I start going to OT and PT, that I'll be able to get a lot of this balance stuff worked out, and I
Yeah.
won't need.
Are you still having like dizzy spells a lot, Jeff? Is the
Oh,
vertigo gone, or is it
no,
still there?
I'm constantly dizzy. It doesn't stop.
Wow.
Yeah, there's no break to it. It's very strange. Like I'm constantly like feeling like almost like I'm motion sick all the time.
Wow.
So yeah, but it's just because the doctor told me today that there are parts of the motherboard that are gone. Like I lost parts of my brain. So my brain has got to heal. It's got to repair itself, and
Mm,
that's just going to take time. It'll take time
mhm.
for me to get there. And so one of the other things I wanted to mention, I mentioned this the other day when I did a quick live, but I'm going to work on this week, and I'm going to start doing documentary reviews. And so I'm going to go through those documentaries. I'll watch them, and I'll write down a bunch of notes, and then I'll go live and I'll post a quick review of that documentary.
Mhm.
And so I'm going to start working on that this week. So in the next couple weeks, you'll see
Yeah.
some special episodes that'll pop up. That'll
Yeah.
be me reviewing those documentaries. So
Okay.
so that's something new that's going to be coming. And then, like I said, you guys will start to see the post about the GoFundMe that's coming up and how you guys can like really help out and be a part of everything that's going on here. And
Yeah.
so we're gonna have that. Like I said, there's been a bunch of people that have asked how they could help out directly, and that'll be the way.
Yeah.
Not just supporting that financially, but also sharing that and getting that out to more people so that they see it and they can support it. So yeah, lots and lots of things coming. You guys got anything else about the last two episodes?
I would love to have a sit down conversation with Troy Taylor. I would. I just find him fascinating.
She's been
And
saying
Yeah.
even Peter Vronsky.
Oh man, Vronsky is incredible.
you should get
Because we should go over my notes. I mean, I put some of my notes. I did dig my notes out for college. I put some of it in your chat. If you've read it, I put some the detailed things in our chat. I'd love to, and I would love to get a Kathy Kleiner on here as well, Jeff, because her book is
Oh yeah, I'd love to get
fascinating.
you know
Her book is
Yeah, I have it. I've
fascinating.
read it. It's incredible.
Yeah, I've got it
Yeah.
too.
you should have a members only sparring thing, and I'm not as a joke, seriously, because she really let her answer the questions and just do members only. Hey, members only. I'm down. Come on, members.
So
Oh,
So I've
I
got
mean, if anybody wants to sponsor Sherry to not eating alive, that would be brilliant too.
so I have to I'm going to talk to Andrew Dodge because
Mhm.
not last Wednesday, but the Wednesday before, we were
Yeah,
supposed to film our episode. That was the day after I had the
yeah, I
stroke.
remember that.
So me and Dodge need to get together and do our episode, and I believe I'm going to hit him up and see if we can do a time before the end of this week where
Yeah,
we can get on here and we can do the episode.
yeah,
And he told me, he messaged me and said, I didn't want to like bug you about it. I knew you were in the hospital. He
yeah.
said, but let me know anytime you wanna do the episode. Let me know and we'll get it done. So I'm really really looking forward to getting that done with Andrew. He has been a great friend. He has Unforbidden Truth podcast,
Yeah,
and I've been on his podcast 2 or 3 times now, and he has always been a big supporter in everything that we've done here. And so
yeah.
I appreciate him. I'll be excited to have him on. And he was even going to bring somebody on like live from somewhere that was incarcerated. And so we could do
Wow,
an interview with an inmate
that'd be
on that
good.
episode because that's what he does. He
Yeah, that'd
interviews
be good.
and stuff. And so
I
he
mean,
was like, dude,
would love to get a Jeff back on as well.
yeah.
I mean, he's like, there's a lot of like like things that are happening now. I don't know if you've watched it, Jeff, but I'm watching like the pre-trial now. Eh, I don't even know why she's doing it. Laurie Bell trying to be
Yeah.
a lawyer. Oh my god.
Well, we always knew that was going to be a
Yeah.
disaster, but it would be for sure fun to watch
Yeah,
because
but she's
she's
trying to
so
keep the press out. She's trying to keep the press out. How can you keep the press out? She
Well,
loves the spotlight. She loves the
Yeah.
spotlight. Mm,
for sure.
yeah. And what about, have you reached out to Bill? Because remember, you were meant to be staying with Bill next month for your
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So I have not yet. Really, there are a lot of things up in the air right now.
Yeah.
With my return to conventions and stuff. I don't know what
I
that
think
looks
it's
like.
a bit too soon to
Yeah.
go back to that. But I think the idea that you had the museum sounds brilliant.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of therapy that needs to happen before now
Yeah.
and then, where I can get out there and do some things again. Because
Yeah.
like right now, I can't even drive my own car.
Oh.
I'm not cleared to drive. So, it's certainly an uphill battle as far as that's concerned.
Yeah.
And the difficult thing is for me is I've got to get back to the convention scene so I can make some money again.
Yeah.
Because that's where I make, a
I would-
decent amount.
I would like to ask you a question, Jeff. Now, you were always a man that was go, 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 like that. How does that feel to go for that to basically nothing? That must get to you. Because you were
Like a
always
prison.
active. You were always active.
It is like a prison. It's very difficult to be able to go from, constantly running to not being able to, like, I can't even navigate my stairs right now in the house. So it's quite a challenge.
Yeah.
The hospital told me I'm not supposed to lift anything that's too heavy, which means it becomes near impossible to set up my booth and to bring all that stuff in, to load my car and to do all that. Not to mention the fact that I can't drive right now. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a real challenge, and it is.
Well, you have
something.
to take your test again, Jeff, because of the stroke.
I don't know what that looks like. They said
Yeah.
in their therapy they'll be able to clear me.
Right.
I don't know exactly what that means. I'll have to talk to them. I think
Yeah.
some of it depends on my vision test,
Yeah.
and then a lot of it depends on my awareness and
Yeah.
being able to be aware of my surroundings and things like that.
Yeah.
But I'm trusting that they know what they're doing and they know
Yeah.
what testing they need to do to take care of all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
See, when I was learning to drive, I always remember the 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock. That's how we learn over here. 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, like that.
Yeah. So,
I don't know what it is like in the States, but when we're learning to drive, we're meant to look at our mirrors every 7 seconds.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it's like in the States, but I'm glad that you're out of the woods.
Yeah, we could talk to you and annoy you.
We can talk to you and we can just basically
Well,
annoy the hell out of you because we missed it.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you that the doctor reminded me today, and he said that I am not out of the woods, that I am at risk. The first 3 months, especially post stroke, that you're at high risk for having another stroke, and especially the fact that I've had 2 already. And so, there is always the potential, always the possibility, but he said that it is his goal now to figure out why this happens so that we can now prevent any further strokes. So that is kind of his goal, to get me to a place where we figure out all of the things tomorrow. I have to
Yeah.
go to the doctor again to get my heart monitor because they
Yeah.
need to have 24-hour monitoring of my heart to see if
Yeah.
that is any of the issue, because it might be like some kind of arrhythmia thing that causes this. So
Yeah.
they need to be monitoring all of that. So I've got to
Mhm.
go in tomorrow to pick up that heart monitor, and then they'll monitor me for a month,
Mhm.
24 hours a day, to see if there's anything there that can give them information
Yeah.
about the possibility and why this happened. So yeah, so lots of information, lots of data that they're getting from my body to see, what is truly going on.
Yeah.
They're also sending me for a sleep study so that I can get on the other side of some sleep apnea because
Yeah.
they believe that that may be one of the causes.
Yeah.
So we're doing all the necessary testing to figure out why this happened and what I can do to prevent it in the future.
Yeah.
So
They do the trials over here, and over here they say that sleep apnea is connected to the stroke or a heart attack over here.
yeah,
So
so
that is sorry.
Sherry just asked about medications. They
Yeah.
have put me on a couple new medications. I'm now on aspirin every day, low dose aspirin, to
Yeah.
try to help with blood flow.
Yeah.
They did not put me on any type of blood thinner other than that, though. They said that they were talking about about putting me on Plavix or something like that to help out, but it's only marginally that it helps out.
Yeah.
And my doctor said he wasn't going to change that because it's not something that's going to help so much. They still need to figure out what caused it. That's more important than me
Yeah.
going on Plavix right now. So I think he's going to stick with that. They did put me on uh, a cholesterol drug to help with my cholesterol and help that a little bit. I'm trying to think what that one's called. I can't think of it, but anyway, they put me on that, and then of course I'm still on my blood pressure medicine, and
See what I was going to ask you, Jeff. Remember when you went? I don't know if it was a physical at your job. Do you think that was a factor in this?
so they're saying that it could be. They're not sure yet.
Yeah.
What is that?
And
High blood
my
pressure?
Maybe
blood pressure. Yeah.
blood
Well,
pressure.
they said that there's no when they went in and they looked, there's no hardening of the arteries.
Yeah.
I do have a congenitally small vertebral artery.
Yeah.
So just genetics, it's smaller than normal. But it was fine up until this point, and there's no hardening. So there's no, they don't see any plaque buildup or anything like that.
Yeah.
But they do believe that there is the possibility that the sleep apnea may be driving some of my blood pressure issues. So if they
Yeah.
can get that fixed, it may help the blood pressure and
Mm-hmm.
then therefore help the strokes. So yeah,
Well, all I can say is thank God that you stayed awake.
yeah,
By the
for
grace
sure.
of God, you stayed awake. Because me and Sherry, we felt so helpless. We're
Yeah.
like, what, Jeff? What? No. He's only
Yeah.
44.
Right.
We were shocked.
Oh man, it was funny because not really funny, but when I laid down and I sent that message and I remember seeing that you guys were calling me.
Right.
And I declined the call because I was waiting for my wife to call me. And I was so out of it at the time, I didn't realize that I had sent the message to you guys and not her.
Wow.
So I was like, what the fuck did I do? So then I went and I sent the message to her and let her know. And I remember laying there at that moment when that came through, I realized I think I'm going to pass. Maybe this is what it feels like to pass out. And then I
Mm.
remember telling myself, no, you can't go to sleep. If you do that, you're going to die. And so I kept myself awake. And that's
Mm.
when I realized I reached up and I touched my forehead and I realized that I was sweating profusely. Like
Oh.
Yeah.
I was just pouring sweat. And I
Yeah.
realized, like, holy shit, that only happens when there's a serious medical emergency. Like, you
Yeah.
don't start sweating like that unless something is seriously wrong.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized I was like, I got to dial 911 because something is like really, really wrong with me.
Yeah,
And
because
so, of course,
I was ready to phone you again. For some
yeah,
reason, I just got like a feeling about, because me and Sherry both said it's very unusual for Jeff to say, call me now.
Right.
yeah,
That's not normal.
yeah,
And then
definitely not normal.
we had to wait until Kate had put in the chat. And we just, oh my God.
So what was really funny about that, I sent her both the messages. I said,
Yeah.
call me. I said, call me now. And then the second part of that message was, I think I need help. Uh, and so
Yeah.
like, and obviously I did.
Yeah.
I was in the midst of a serious medical emergency, and it was shortly after that that I started vomiting everywhere. And
Yeah.
so it was for sure an intense moment.
Yeah.
Like something that I would have never been able to. I couldn't have told anybody that, hey, I guess what's going to happen to me today. I would have never guessed that.
Yeah.
But
Well, at least you've still got your same sense of humour. And I did say to you, if you remember, on a
yeah,
live, I said to you, that man will never be without a voice.
for sure. Like, can't
Well,
shut me up that easy. You could
but
fucking
somebody up there must have been looking after you.
yeah,
That's
for
all I
sure.
could. That's basically like, Jeff, you've had a miracle.
Yeah.
You've had a miracle.
Well, and it was funny. My doctor told me, he said, these cerebellar strokes are some of the most dangerous because
Really?
there's no good indication of why they happen. So it's very difficult to figure it out because they don't show any classic signs
Mm-hmm.
of a regular stroke. So you don't have any of the telltale signs like, oh, okay, this is why this happened. This is what
So,
happened there.
so basically, Jeff, are they like that?
Correct.
Wow.
There's no onset of symptoms, and it often masks itself very well. So it's very difficult to tell, which is why they couldn't diagnose me in the ER. They had no idea I'd had a stroke until they
Yeah.
had done the MRI. And then they didn't even tell me that I had a stroke to both sides. Both sides of my cerebellum were affected. I thought it was only the left hand side, but it was also the right hand side. So
You're extremely lucky.
Yeah.
yeah, so and very grateful that it didn't hit me anywhere else.
Yeah.
One of the things that he told me today, very important in the heart monitor, is that once they get that data from the heart monitor and monitoring for me for a month, they'll be able to really tell like if it was anything there, and
Yeah.
that will determine the differences in treatment.
Yeah.
So if there is an indication one way or the other, it will give
Yeah.
them a better indication on how they need to treat me as far as going forward. And if
Yeah.
there are any like serious indications of, this is the medicine I need to be on, or this is the method of treatment that I need to go
Yeah.
through. So, going through that for a month, I'll have a very good understanding of, what we can do from here on out. So I'm
And
very grateful for that.
is the fluid under control now, Jeff? With the
Uh, I,
medication you're taking?
I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
that answer, and I won't know that until they do another CT scan.
Right.
And so that is in a couple months they'll do another CT
Right.
scan and see where all of that is. So
Well, we want to, you know that we'll always support you, me and Sherry.
yeah,
We'll always support you. But we want to send our best wishes to Caitlin because this must have shocked the hell out of her as well. So
Okay.
yeah,
we're thinking of her as well.
Is
yeah,
she,
for sure.
is she okay?
it's been challenging, but she's doing as best she can.
Yeah, we want to send her our best wishes as well.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. All right, guys. Well, I think we'll leave it there for the live part of this. Oh, somebody. Thanks, Christina. She said, "Hi, everyone. Hope you're on the mend, Jeff." Yeah, we're definitely trying to get there. So thanks for that. But guys, we're gonna call it enough today. We've been on here for almost an hour, and
Yeah.
be on the lookout for the GoFundMe that is imminent. It should be coming out in the next several days, and then be on the lookout for the reviews. I'm going to start doing some documentary reviews while I have some time. So be on the lookout for that in the next couple days. I'm hoping to release the first one, and then after that there'll be subsequent ones. So yeah, we'll be bringing that to you, and I look forward to talking to you all soon.
Yeah. Best wishes, Jeff.
Yeah, for sure.